Hey everyone, it's Kelly. Before we dive into today's episode with Terri Hawley, I want to tell you a little more about her private community, which is the UGC Authority. Fun fact, today's episode actually came to life because Terri invited me to speak as a guest speaker inside of her community. She built the UGC Authority to help UGC creators move faster, gain confidence, and treat their work like a true business, not just a side hustle. You can join for free for 14 days, explore everything, connect with other creators, and see how it fits. Just head to theugcauthority.com or tap the link in the description. All right, time for today's episode. Welcome to UGC Pro, the podcast where creative strategy, UGC innovation, and freelancing success collide. I'm your host, Kelly Rockline, a self-taught creative marketer from the brand and creator side, with over a decade of experience working with hundreds of brands and driving over $500 million in revenue. Now, as a mentor to more than 10,000 aspiring UGC creators and creative strategists, I'm here to help you unlock your full potential. Whether you're here to sharpen your ad game or gain fresh insights to elevate your creative freelance business, you're in the right place. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, or habit stack. Is there a pile of laundry that you need to get through? What about unloading the dishwasher? Maybe it's a good time to go out and get some fresh air. Whether you're cuddled up on the couch or getting your steps in, I am so happy you're here. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited to have Kelly Rockline with us today. Kelly's the reason that I got into UGC. And so having her speak today is like a full circle moment, you know? I started hearing about UGC around the summer of 2023 and started doing all this research. Because I have a really strong marketing background, when I was doing this research, I wanted to make sure I was listening to the right people. Like whoever was talking about UGC and marketing needed to know a little bit more about it than I did, right? So I hopped on some podcasts, started listening to some podcasts, listened to maybe 10, 15 people just talk about UGC, what it was, how to get started. And I was like, average, it's just nothing was hitting. This is after about 3 or 4 months of just listening to podcasts, listening to people talk about it. And I happened to find a podcast episode. I cannot remember. Maybe Kelly remembers, you've probably done a lot of podcast interviews. And Kelly was being interviewed. Within the first 10 to 15 minutes, I was like, who is this? Does she have a training? I'm going to take it. Like, it was like I was totally sold. She just blew me away. And so that's how I found out about Kelly Rockline. And I went ahead and took her course. And this is the course that we actually have inside the community, UGC University. And UGC University blew me away. And I knew that this was definitely the information I was looking for and I really needed. And so that's the story. Like, she's a powerhouse. She's one of the best UGC professionals out there. I don't care. Fight me. Anybody can fight me on this. She is pretty darn fantastic. And so I have this long bio to share with you because she's just got a lot of experience. So Kelly's a UGC creator. She's also a fractional creative strategist, and she also calls herself a performance consultant. She's been doing this for over 10 years. So I don't know any UGC creator has been doing this for over 10 years. Maybe Kelly does, but I don't. And she has made over $500 million for brands. She's a Forbes Council member. She's a respected industry leader, and she's taught more than 10,000 students how to break into the UGC industry. Her framework is just outstanding. Her knowledge behind marketing, paid advertising, and creative strategy is just bar none. It's just phenomenal. So she launched her creative education platform in 2022. That's UGC Pro. And since then, she's just been doing some wonderful things. She was just recently in Entrepreneur magazine, and I posted that into the community. If you haven't had a chance to read that article, make sure you do. But she has worked with hundreds of direct-to-consumer brands across every vertical: fashion, beauty, wellness, food and beverage, home goods, tech, sustainability. And her clients are folks like Amazon Photos, Crypto.com, W Promote, Tube Science, which is huge in the industry, Everyday Dose, Sweet Greens, there's so many here, Kelly. Overnight oats, ancient nutrition, joy coffee. There's so many. She brings such a unique perspective to performance marketing that I just haven't been able to get from any other professional in this industry. And on top of that, Kelly is she's impressive, of course, but she is one of the kindest, most generous people I know. She is so generous with her time. I'm in her community of creative strategists, and I don't know how long I've been in that community, Kelly, maybe almost a year now. I don't know. No.
Almost a year, maybe like April. That's when we launched it, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So
March, April.
months. Yeah. And her generosity, kindness, caring, just going above and beyond to help us be the best creative strategists and UGC creators out there is just phenomenal. I thank her all the time for that. But anyway, Kelly, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And say a few words if you would.
Oh my God, Terri, first of all, my smile is just like glued onto my face right now, just because this is my authentic reaction to everything you've been saying. You are such a light in this community, and I'm just like, I feel so grateful to know you and to have you a part of the UGC Pro Strategist community. I'm so grateful to be here today, to speak live, and then also to have this recording for anyone that is listening to it after the fact. I'm just blown away by just the work you've been doing for the UGC community. I've always tried to build UGC Pro with the motto of a rising tide lifts all boats. And I know that you know this, like you are like a perfect reflection of that mission, and you are single-handedly doing this with this. And it's so funny because I am so not on Reddit. Like I don't understand how the subreddits work, but like you are literally owning that part of the community, and I just love to see it. And again, I'm absolutely I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you so much for having me and for saying such kind words.
Yeah, it's from the heart. It is from the heart. So I have, and I'm sure you guys have a few questions for Kelly. I'm going to start with some questions. And after we're done our conversation, would love for y'all to jump in and ask Kelly some questions as well. But this is also like kind of, laid back Q&A. So if she says something and you have a question, raise your hand and I'll tap you in, and then she can answer it for you. So Kelly, just talk a little bit about what first got you started in UGC.
So funny enough, the reason why I say that I started UGC in 2014 is because when I started pursuing this path, I didn't know what UGC was. The term for sure existed, just because when we think of what UGC initially started out as, like legitimate user-generated content, it was definitely a thing. But what I was pursuing at the time, 10 years ago, or now 11 years ago, was what UGC would eventually evolve to. And so I think back to, so I graduated high school in 2013. So I'm like fresh into the world. I'm like, I have no idea what I want to do. I was raised by a single mother. I knew that I didn't want to go the state college route just because I was not wanting to take out student loans. And I also really wasn't passionate about what I was pursuing at the time, which was going to be nutrition. What I kind of realized was, well, what am I most passionate about? And for as long as like I could remember, I had loved just like, picking up a camera and filming videos, posting it on YouTube as a kid, like posting it on MySpace, like just making content, being the on-camera talent, editing the videos, filming it. I really enjoyed it. And so I was like 18, 19 at the time. And I remember thinking, I really want to learn how to be a video editor. I really want to learn how to be a videographer. And so this is where the UGC part comes into play. At the time, the only thing I saw that was happening for like videographers and editors was like, at least what I was like connected to was like the music scene. So like, going to a concert and being the videographer, filming and editing that content after the fact and doing like a recap video. And what I wanted to do was, and what I was doing was, I would reach out to brands on Instagram back in 2014 and I would say, hey, if you send me this product, I will make you a video and you can post it on your socials. And so Instagram at the time was a 1x1 video and it was 15 seconds. That's all we got. We didn't have stories. We didn't have reels. It was the most, bare bones of what Instagram was throwback to those days. I miss them. But so, yeah, I was reaching out to brands and I was basically doing barter deals. And so my logic at the time was, well, I eventually want to get paid for this work. But, and it's funny because this is the advice that we give to new UGC creators is, okay, well, if I'm new and I've never worked with a brand, how do I pitch a brand and have them pay me, but I don't have example work? So I thought, okay, well, I need to do these barter deals. That way, then I can build a portfolio and eventually close a paying client. And so that was kind of just like my initial step into what was the direction of user-generated content, which is just like, it was just wild to, it is wild to look back on because I was still so young. I was still so naive. And I look back and I'm just like, I am just so grateful that I followed this intuition, because fast forward 11 years later and it's a full-blown thriving industry. And at the time, I just remember everyone outside of basically my mom being like, well, what's your plan B? What do you mean you're not going to college? You're filming this content. Like, is that even an industry? Fast forward to present day and it is thriving, even with like, you know, crazy wild like economic downturn or whatever it is. Like, it was thriving through COVID. It's still thriving now. And so anyways, long story short, I'm just very grateful that I took this step day one, even though I didn't really know where exactly I was headed.
And you took a bet on yourself, right? You took a bet on yourself. You took a bet on where you thought you saw this industry going. And yeah, it is totally blown up. You rode that wave and you're on top of this industry, which I think is just amazing. And one thing that I love about Kelly's story is that, you know, there's so much pressure now. I have a, you know, Gen Z, or a lot of us have kids, you know, the pressure is to college, get your education. Kelly's is an example of how she was able to carve out a niche for herself, or, you know, or keep it moving without college education. And, you know, you guys, if I could put a worth on my master's degree right now, it'd be like a penny. Okay. I don't use any of that anymore. So I just love your story, Kelly. And I share it a lot because I do a lot of mentoring for young adults. And I share it a lot because I think that there needs to be some other options for people who, you know, don't want to, and college is expensive too.
So expensive. These days, it's crazy. I am grateful that I feel like over the past decade, it has definitely become less of a stigma not having a degree.
Yeah.
Like literally, I always explain it as when I first was getting started and not having a degree, it really felt like my kryptonite, because like, you know, fast forward to like moving to LA in 2016, 2017, I'm trying to break into corporate America 2018. And I just remember always feeling so self-conscious that I didn't have it. But what I like to always say now is that what, you know, initially felt like my kryptonite ended up being my superpower. And I feel like that is definitely just a testament to just like, thankfully, the world being a lot more open-minded and understanding that you can have equivalent like real life experience. And, you know, sometimes that can even be, you know, more than, you know, whatever degree it might be.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. So what about UGC Pro?
Oh, yeah. Like how it got started. Okay, so funny enough, so UGC Pro, formerly UGC Social. So basically, it was like winter 2022. And I got connected with this woman on LinkedIn because I was trying to hire a UGC creator. I was a creative director at the time for a health and wellness brand. And at the time, like, it was not as easy as it is today to be able to source creators. And I mean, there were, you know, platforms that existed. Definitely Billo existed at the time, and so did like #paid. But I was just looking for just like a way to go around and not having to go through a platform, not even like Fiverr. And so I looked up UGC creator, and this one woman at the time popped up, UGC creator, connected with her and got on a call. And I remember her telling me, like, you know, there's more people like me on TikTok. And I was like, what? Really? Because I've been doing UGC for, you know, years by this point. And I'm like, you know, this is wild to me. I didn't know that other people were doing this. I always just, you know, thought it was a side hustle I was doing and a few others. And it was like not really a thing. And so I made a TikTok, and at the time it was UGC Social. And initially it was just to like kind of just understand what the heck was going on TikTok. But basically, to make a long story short, UGC became like this, blew up overnight on TikTok's For You page. Everyone and their mom was talking about UGC. And something that I noticed really quickly was that people were talking about UGC. They were overpromising, under-delivering, basically like setting up their audience for failure in the sense of like, oh, I did a 10K month. You could start UGC today and you can make 10K. And it started also to sound like almost as though it were an MLM. And I was like, this is so bizarre. I need to post these videos and reset expectations here because these people are being set up for failure. And so basically June of 2022 is when I started really posting, sometimes calling people out, other times like just posting videos, like calling out the BS generally. And very quickly it went from the initial sentiment was people were mad at me because they didn't like hearing that I had something else to say and that what other people were saying that was more exciting wasn't true. Eventually became, well, wait a second. This girl knows what she's talking about. She's been doing UGC since 2014. She's not just a creator. She comes from the brand side as well. She's a creative director. She hires creators. And so out of nowhere, it was like, oh my God, we want to like learn from you. And so shortly after posting in June of 2022, my TikTok blew up to like 60K followers, probably like 3-4 months later. I, at the time, created a Substack. That was like my form of like digital product that I did. And then eventually launched what was a PDF guide going into 2023. And since then, we've obviously rebranded to UGC Pro, and we now do video courses, which I love as someone that is neurodivergent. And like, that's more of my learning style and being able to like actually like understand what I'm learning versus like reading something and being like, what did I just read? I have to reread it now. And so, yeah, that's kind of just how UGC Pro like became, was just honestly through like organic demand.
That's amazing. One thing I love about UGC Pro is, it's my opinion that you set the standard, but you bring reality and truth to this industry. I've experienced, I know folks on this Zoom have experienced the hype, the unrealistic expectations, the emotional marketing that goes along with UGC. And there's creators out there that do this for 6 months and say, oh, I made $20,000 last month and you can do it too. And here's my course, yeah. So I think you continually bring us down to earth and ground us in the realness of what really goes on in this industry and what it takes to be a UGC creator. And I've always appreciated that. Segue into this question. What do you suggest? What are your suggestions for somebody who's just starting UGC?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So my advice is to take a moment and honestly do a resetting of expectations, regardless of what you've already been exposed to, just because when I think of building a UGC business, in a way, it's almost like wanting to become an influencer. And I've never used this example before, but I feel like it's totally makes sense, because it's like, if you choose to pursue something, I try for a week and you're like, well, I'm not like, I don't have a following. I didn't get in, for UGC terms, I didn't get a brand deal. Like, oh, I'm not going to be successful. I think the resetting of expectations timeline wise is so important, because generally no one starts doing UGC and finds success the first week. And the only exception is if they come from a marketing background and they're already well connected. They already have the understanding, the expertise, they already have the connections. And I think that's really important to remember. Another thing to keep in mind is that you are starting a business, whether it is a side hustle, whether it is, you're trying to start at it, simply in the sense of like, I think there's nothing wrong starting out treating it like a hobby, just because depending on the way your mind works, for me, if I go into something to like expecting something and then I kind of like let myself down, then I get like kind of bummed out and discouraged. So I think everyone's mind is a little different, but all that goes to say, just like resetting those expectations, not putting too much pressure on yourself, but also at the same time enough pressure that it's able to like keep you moving. I actually made a LinkedIn post about this a few weeks ago, and it's like there's a fine line between urgency and also like pushing it past the point of it actually discouraging you and doing the inverse effect of what you were hoping for. So, outside of that like mindset, I would say make sure that you are flexing that muscle and that you are building these skill sets. You are strengthening these skill sets. The way that you'll be able to secure higher paying clients is by simply being able to do the work of an advanced creator. And so what I suggest is following accounts that you connect with, that encourage you, that provide resources, that, are actually who they say they are experienced in a way that you can actually learn from. I personally, when I started doing, what I considered content creation at the time, but was really UGC, 2014, there were no resources. Like even on YouTube, like I was just trying to learn how to video edit in Premiere Pro. And even the tutorials for that were so far and few. Like they were not great. And so for me, I had to truly learn from trial and error. But in present day, you now have access to everything you need to know for free. Technically, you really do. Like you do. The only problem is you obviously kind of have to go through with a fine-tooth comb and figure out who should I listen to, who has what I want, and like what information is actually going to get me from point A to point B. And so that would be probably my biggest piece of advice, is just like the mindset aspect of resetting expectations, understanding that like you're starting a business, and like anything, whether it's starting TikTok shop, trying to be an influencer, like you literally can't like do it for a week and expect to make it, right? Like even when I'm working on my organic social strategy for Instagram, like sometimes I catch myself doing that where I'm like, wow, like I tried for a week and my views aren't up. And it's like, girlfriend, come on, you know better. And so, yeah, mindset. And then also just focusing on flexing that muscle and growing those skill sets, because what you'll want to do starting out is get really good at creating content with the products you already have at home. That way, then you can choose your favorite concepts to feature in your portfolio. And the only way you're going to get to that point is by practicing.
Lots and lots. And I'm still practicing.
Same. Remain a student for life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And still looking at other people's content for inspiration, trying different types. And I'm sort of stretching myself a little bit now, I say, as I go into my third year, trying different types and concepts. But yeah, I think that learning is like ongoing. You did say something interesting, and it was about all these voices that are out there now, a lot more than 2014. I want you to talk a little bit about that, because there are too many voices out there, right?
Yep.
What, in terms of training, and this is one reason that I wanted Kelly's training to be our flagship training, because I just believe in it so much. There's a lot of CRAP out there.
Yep.
So when somebody is looking for a training, what are some things that you think, or even, somebody's looking to acquire a certain skill set in 2026.
Ooh.
We are like the things that can help creators be really competitive. And I mean, every single day, Kelly, I'm on Twitter and there's like a new UGC creator. So the space is getting very competitive. I don't want to say saturated, but competitive. With it being so competitive, what are some skills? What is some training that you see can help UGC creators stay competitive?
Nice. Okay. So definitely when looking at like your options, it's easy to have analysis paralysis, just because, like you said, there are new creators popping up every day, and there's a lot of creators that will do it for like 6 weeks, 6 months, and then be like, I made money. Here's my course. Buy it.
And monetize, right?
Yeah, it's kind of just like, it's unfortunate, because there probably is, I'll say 15 to 25% of those resources are like gold, like your community being one of them. But there are opportunists out there that are looking for that quick buck. And like, honestly, the more you start to spot them, the more obvious these grifters are. And I say that because oftentimes they also came from X and Y industry before, and they were also doing something similar, but just now it's for UGC. And so when you're looking for trusted resources, I would keep these questions top of mind. One, how long have they been doing this? If they have been doing this for even say 2 or 3 years, it might sound like a long time, but they only have experience through those 2 or 3 years. You can only take what they say based on their experience since 2022 or 2023. And not to say that you have to have more experience to know, but like, that's a question to pose, because technically this person is not by, at least time, like an actual advanced creator. Like, they've found success as a creator, but they're not actually like, what is it, like 10,000 hours or whatever it is. It's just like makes you like a master. It's just one of those things to just keep in mind. It's like, how long have they been doing this? Have they come from the brand and creator side? Or are they just on the creator side? And the reason why I want this question posed is because oftentimes a lot of the advice these creator coaches are giving are not, in fact, accurate when you're on the brand side. A lot of having to do with, like, say, usage rights. It's a hot topic, and ultimately how you choose to run your business is completely up to yourself. But what I can say is that before UGC went mainstream in 2022, it was always, you do the content, we pay you for it, and that's it. The same way that when I would do video edits, like I'm also would do video editing for freelance. The same way I would do the job, get paid for it, hand it over, and that's it. There are creators who now, like, there's a lot of like people who are afraid to give unlimited usage rights of their content because they think the brand is going to run it forever. But it's like, okay, we're lacking a lot of nuances here. One, shelf life of creatives are shorter than ever. Meta is beyond competitive. So is TikTok. Like, you will be lucky to have your ad run for a couple of days, a few weeks, a few months. Obviously, there are always exceptions to the rule. Sometimes an ad might run for a year, but guess what? It's not going to run forever. The brand will either be acquired, it will have a rebrand, the product will be retired, or your content will just become obsolete because of other nuances taking place on social platforms. Yeah, just keeping in mind, does this person come from just the creator side or also the brand side? Because having that context is invaluable. I've just always tried to practice, like, living my life through listen to those that have what you want. And so just getting really particular with who you're listening to. And also, looking for social proof. Who has taken their courses? What are the reviews they've gotten? Do people talk about them? Did this person randomly just pop up on a Tuesday and now they're selling their course on a Thursday? Red flag. Yeah, I would say those are kind of just some like broad pieces of advice, but I mean, ultimately, there's definitely a lot of noise out there, which is unfortunate. And so it also doesn't hurt to go to X and ask, hey, did anyone take so-and-so's course? Or, hey, I want to take a UGC course or creative strategy course. Does anyone have any recommendations? And if you start to see people repeating the same name, all of a sudden you're kind of like, okay, who is this person? Because clearly what they're doing is working.
That's why we have UGC University inside the UGC Learning.
I love that.
But we also have other resources also, right? If you want to look at some other courses. But, this is something that's happening a lot. And I don't know why this is happening. I was thinking about this today. Beginner UGC creators, like somebody who's been doing this for like 3 weeks, they get on and start giving advice. Like,
yes.
Why? Why are we?
Oh my gosh, this reminds me of the question. I don't know if you were on that call with Terri. Do you remember when Terri asked this question? Like, oh, I want to post on social media, but I don't want to post advice. And that's like the biggest misconception, is because of this weird pipeline of, I started UGC and now I have to be like a pro and I have to show the world I'm a pro. And it's like, that is not what you want to do. And that's actually like, that's been a huge topic that I feel like more and more people are talking about, is like, you do want to have a presence online, not to build following, but just to have like almost like secondary portfolio. Also, it could be almost like top of funnel for you, in the sense of like someone could be scrolling on Instagram that works for a brand and they're like, oh my God, who is this Rhonda? Oh my God, I love her reel. Let me go to her profile. Oh, let me check out her portfolio that's linked in her bio. Ooh, okay, I want to hire her. You want to post content that is like reflective of your personality, that is like, treat it like that, again, like that top of funnel, almost like, I want to show up as me on camera so that someone who might come across my video might end up being like, like I could see them being really good for our product, for our ad. Because think about it, like, I'm always hiring creators. I've hired thousands of creators over the last decade, and I am constantly on social media. And when I find someone's content that I like, I'm reaching out to them to hire them as a creator. So definitely avoiding going the like advice route is ideal, because that's how you're actually going to stand out, which is ironic because, initially everyone thinks, oh, I need to post this advice. And it's like, no, you don't, because you're just going to end up looking like everyone else. And also, you want to post content that is going to attract your ideal demographic. For me, I sound like a hypocrite until I explain this, which is I do post educational advice, but it's because I am a mentor. I am an educator first. I get referrals and I get inbounds. That is how I build my UGC and creative strategy business. So I am not looking to attract inbounds on socials. Mine come from LinkedIn. And so ultimately, when you are trying to figure out what to post online, think of it from this perspective. Is this video or content that I'm going to post, is it attractive to my target demographic? If you're looking to increase your inbounds, you're going to want to audit your work and make sure that it's reflective of your personality.
We need to speak more about this. I don't know why this is happening. I just saw a video today. This woman, 3 weeks into it, she's giving tips. I'm like, why? Why are we doing this? So, I bring that up because it's an issue, and you have a good point about personal branding and definitely going in another direction. But also, anytime any of us get onto TikTok, because of the algorithm, we're going to see UGC creators, and then you're getting all these tips, and then you find out this person's been doing this for 2 weeks. So that's what I mean. Like, so many voices are out there. You got to be real.
So much misinformation.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, we're going to shift a little bit and talk about pay, because we're all here to get paid.
Yeah, we are.
And I've had a couple of conversations more than a couple of conversations with creators in the UGC authority community that are trying to figure out, like, okay, how much should I charge for this? Is this too much? Is it a good idea to do the whole, race to the bottom thing and try to stay competitive by bringing down my rates? And I believe you and I are aligned in our thinking that no.
Yep.
And I've talked to our creators about this, like, know your worth, know what you bring to the table. These $25, $50 collabs, really?
No.
You're worth more than that. So I just wanted you to speak on that.
Absolutely.
And say, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so race to the bottom is bad for the entire industry at large. I remember when UGC went mainstream summer of 2022, and I posted a video and I was like, I really encourage anyone that is accepting a paid collab to not accept under, I think it was like 150, I said at the time. Present day, I'm like, anything under like 200, 250, I'm still kind of like, I don't know, I want to just make sure that it's not affecting the industry at large, which is why, oftentimes there will sometimes be brands that'll be like, whoa, your rate is 4, 5, 6, 7 times higher than what we normally pay creators. And it's like, well, it's because these creators are accepting such low rates. But at the same time, I also recognize the fact that there are things like barters that can play a huge, huge, huge benefit to you building this business, who's actively looking for experience, but is not on the hook for X and Y, and you're more so in control of what that partnership looks like. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I strongly encourage someone that considers themselves more than a beginner UGC creator to not accept less than $200 a concept. If it's a script read, if it feels like it's a low lift, obviously there are exceptions to the rule, but I still don't think you should accept less than 150 even for that lighter lift. But if you're someone that you're like, I have no experience, I am a beginner, and I am looking for client exposure, I'm looking to get the product from someone, I personally also don't think there's anything wrong with a barter, just because as long as it's on your own terms and it's not forever. I also think that the brands that are okay with barters, oftentimes it's really hard to work your way up to paid, but I don't think it's necessarily impossible. And I also don't think it's necessarily your trajectory, is you're just looking to get practice. So starting with those products that you have at home, and then if you are looking for exposure to working and getting that experience working with a client, I think doing a few barters, there's again nothing wrong with it, especially when the product, if it's over $150. I've gotten thousands of dollars worth of skincare, thousands of dollars worth of makeup. I have done discounted deals, but I have made sure to offset that rate with also getting more products. So that's also something that you could do.
Anybody have questions about that? Because I know
looks like Courtney had.
Yes.
Yeah, Courtney, go ahead.
Yes. Hi. First, thank you everyone for doing this. I'm a newbie here, so I'm just trying to get all the information I can. It is just so lovely listening to you ladies. So, and we are in a really good portion because pricing has kind of been my thing too, because again, there is so much information online. And I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts because I saw something from a creator on TikTok not too long ago. And she was saying how a lot of investors are looking to invest more into the creator economy. And a topic that's coming up with like a lot of startups is like the whole equity aspect and taking like equity instead of, I guess, like a barter equity or like kind of like that whole aspect. So I just wanted to get your take on that. And is that something like to explore like going forward, especially if you're going into like tech or, anything like that? So,
Well, I would say depending on the opportunity, that sounds pretty cool. Like, I don't know like how that actually works out in the sense of like maybe like I assume there's some sort of like cliff maybe where maybe they're looking for like an in-house creator and maybe it's like a discounted rate and also getting that equity, or is it solely like equity play?
I've seen both scenarios because I saw in the comments one girl, it was like an author for like a children's book type of thing, and she started off getting the equity, and as it like started taking off on like Amazon and stuff, she was getting like a portion of the company outside of, sales and whatever they were paying her for content. Yeah.
So I would say this reminds me a lot of almost like, I know it's different, but like the commission conversation where I think generally opportunities might not be the best, but I am going to say that there's probably like 10%, 15% of those opportunities that could actually be really cool. Like, for example, I even took a fractional creative strategy job last year, this time last year. And I took technically what was a pay cut. I was still making like $180,000 annually, but like I took the pay cut, but because I got the opportunity to what could have been an equity split, I didn't make it the cliff. It just ended up not being the right fit, which is also just something to keep in mind with equity, just because there's going to be some sort of cliff, whether it's 6 months or whatever. But I would say treat it like the commission deal where I think there's some nuance to this conversation where I initially never liked the idea of commission deals. And now I'm starting to see creators get paid out. And I'm like, damn, like imagine that year that I made over $50 million for my client with my UGC. That could have been a nice payout, but like commission was not what it is today. So I would say inquiring about it or having that conversation, there's nothing wrong with it, but just make sure that it really is reflective of the work that you're doing and that it actually is like an opportunity worth having. Because another thing to keep in mind is I did get equity at an agency that I worked for, but they ended up closing shop. And so I was out, I bought the stocks. So I technically was out like, a few $1,000s and I didn't make my money back. So that's also something to keep in mind. Is it a startup that has promise, or is it just, someone who's looking to take advantage of creators?
Got it. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, that's something I'm thinking a lot about too, Kelly. So when Courtney, I've been hearing about the equity model, and also what we see now are a lot of brands, startups, particularly that want to keep their costs low. So they bring in UGC creators at a low base pay, and then add commission to it or performance-based bonuses. And at first, I was like, how dare that, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this. But now I'm thinking that might not be a bad idea in terms of maybe diversifying my streams of income, right?
Yep.
I can still do UGC, but I might want to also take advantage of some of these pay structures that combine both, that low base pay and affiliate marketing. It may not hurt to take, a couple of those just to see what happens. And, what's the difference between that and I do TikTok shop? Same kind of thing.
I was just going to say that's kind of TikTok has just been this, it's crazy because it has helped UGC evolve to what it is today. Like UGC before 2020 was not what it looks like today. And it was single-handedly because of TikTok, like the get ready with me's, the day in the life, the whatevers, the trends. And it's like, that you literally just read my mind, Terri, which is another evolution that TikTok has single-handedly really, became a thing is, okay, TikTok shop, we're normalizing the fact that there's commission involved. And TikTok shop, we're truly working for free until we get this commission. So like if you can get a commission deal with a company that has a track record or can point to the fact that they've worked with creators that have like paid them out X and Y amount, like totally worth diversifying, in my opinion.
I think so too. Yeah, I think I might try just a few. I'm over being offended.
Same.
And then I can't, I can't still get my, you guys know I love my 4-figure collabs, I can still get those. Yeah, Rhonda, go ahead.
Okay, I went back and looked. I'm literally like 2.5 months in. And so I consider myself a newbie. However, I think I probably, because I have been creating for TikTok, for a year, I am more comfortable, like in front of the camera and creating and editing and all that stuff. What has become my hobby is literally playing with things and trying to edit. Like that is just like other people watch TV and I'm just like on CapCut trying to edit.
That's awesome.
But I say all that to say I did my rates based on the UGC University information that we had there that was like, beginners 150-ish. But I don't know the difference. Like, when are you not a beginner? Like, you know what I mean? In my mind, I'm a beginner because I haven't been doing it that long. You guys are like years into this thing. But my content, I'm like, I look at other people's stuff and I'm like, I'm doing like as good as them, I think, but like, what's a beginner? Like, I don't even know when it becomes that you can start to raise your rates and like kind of demand more. And there's no ego whatsoever like involved. It's just, I mean, if you can get more, you want more, right? Like, so I think that's where I'm struggling. Like, when are you not a beginner?
Ooh, okay, that's a really good question. So honestly, I recommend looking at portfolios. Like you said, it sounds like you've like looked at other people's work and you're like, my work's just as good. And like kind of doing that recon of like, what are people charging that are within like my same skill sets? I think that can be very helpful starting out. That way, then you can at least get an idea of whether or not you are like truly like, making less than what other creators are that have like that similar skill set level. Outside of looking at portfolios and seeing what other creators are charging, rates generally as a freelancer is like the ultimate conversation, the ultimate question. It doesn't necessarily get easier over time. It doesn't, because you start to get into this like flow where you understand and get more familiar with like, okay, like I'm starting to get frustrated. Why am I getting frustrated? Oh, it's because this project is no longer worth my time. Okay, next time I have to make sure to raise my rates. And so I would say treat it like this ebb and flow and just monitor, again, like what other creators are charging within like similar skill sets. Also, when you start to raise your rates, you could even like keep in your mind in the sense of like, okay, I'm going to raise my rate. I'm a little nervous, but worst case, like if you go into negotiation, you can at least negotiate your way to still a higher rate than what you were charging, but maybe not as what you initially, quoted this brand. But it really is, it's this muscle that you are always going to be flexing. And as someone that, has been charging both per project rates for UGC and figuring out hourly as a video editor and creative strategist, it has just always been this work in progress. And I think the most telling, outside of looking at other creator portfolios and their rates, and also asking creators, like this is, I think, a beautiful thing about this community is that a lot of us are having these open conversations. And I feel like it's just doing others a disservice if we're not willing to have these conversations. And so thankfully, I feel like more creators are often down to talk about it. So if you know other creators that have similar skill sets, opening up the dialogue. Outside of that, just really getting comfortable with raising your rates, even when it feels scary. And then also being very self-aware of how you feel during that project, because there will come a time, multiple times, where you will be like, oh my God, I do not want to focus on this project. It's not a priority for me, even though I said that I would do it. Why do I feel this way? Oh, it's because it's no longer worth my time. Same thing for like if and when you ever started doing, say, like if you offered creative strategy or offering video editing. And I remember hearing creators say, well, I don't charge hourly, I charge per project because hourly isn't worth my time because I'm such a fast worker. And I'm like, that just means that you need to raise your rates, because a project rate for video editing or creative strategy is going to end up screwing you over, because the client can then ask for like X amount of rounds of revisions and then your hourly rate could come out to crap, versus if you're charging an hourly rate that feels like it compensates you for your time, your knowledge, and your pacing, then it doesn't become a problem. And the only time it becomes a problem is when you hit that same roadblock, which is, I don't feel like doing this right now, and I told them that I would. Why do I feel this way? Oh, it's because it's time for me to raise my rates.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I've already felt that feeling. I've definitely, I've already gotten there. So
and it's kind of conflicting, right? Because it's like you feel that feeling, but then also when it comes time to raise your rates, it can also be like very scary, and like almost like the imposter syndrome comes in and you're like, oh my God, who's going to pay my rates? Is this too high? And it's like, honestly, like again, it never gets easier. Like I was on the phone the other day quoting my hourly rate, and for some reason, like I felt so self-conscious because I raised it again, and I was like, oh my God, what if they say no? And I'm like, okay, worst case they say, oh, we can't do that. Can you do this? And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And I'm still going to end up higher than what my old hourly rate used to be.
Do you find that most will negotiate?
So I would say probably close to 50-50 brands are willing to have the conversation. And if they're not, they're probably going to be really rude about it. And you don't want to work with someone like that.
Yep. That's how I roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I find that the brands that respect what I bring to the table are willing to negotiate. The ones that are just, oh, we don't have it in our budget. I don't want to work with you anyway. If you feel like I'm worth $100 or no more than $100, I really don't want to be working with you. Anyway.
Exactly. They're doing you the favor. You want them
Exactly.
to have their red flag really high.
I got a brand to reach out to me on TikTok. It's like my official first brand deal. And they were like, oh, yeah, we need 2 videos and we're going to pay you $250 each. That was my very first brand deal. So I got spoiled. I was like, oh, okay. So if y'all going to pay me $500, there's going to be other brands that are going to pay me that and more. And so I never look back. I set my standard, like that was the floor, like that was it. And I never look back. My rates are my rates. I have a few agencies that reach out if something's interesting that I've developed relationships with, which I totally recommend. I have 2 of them now that say, hey, are you interested in that? They know my rates. So don't come to me. Don't reach out if it's $100 job. You know what I'm going to say. You have my rate sheet, right?
Yes, exactly.
And if I'm not a good fit for some of the work, fine. Just send me your $500 and up deals. That's all I want. Do not email me if it's less than that. And I have stuck to that. I don't know what you call it, craziness, confidence. I don't know what it is, but it's worked for me. But I know
honestly, it's true. Like the presence you have, the assuredness you have, it only comes organically and naturally with experience and expertise. So like the more you embody this, the more you practice this, the more you show up like this, the less times your rate will be questioned.
Yep. Courtney.
Yes. So on that topic, I also wanted to ask about, because I've been seeing it a lot more and I've had some people reach out to me for it, is this Canvas UGC, where you make like a video a day for a brand and they put you on like this super small retainer and then it's like performance based. So I've been seeing more about that. And I'm like, what is going on with this Canvas UGC? I even saw in the subreddit a brand had posted for a collab and it said like they pointed out how the rules were, it can be performance based. And they were like, well, that's the way that UGC is going. And
did you see my comment?
I didn't see it yet.
What did you say?
So first of all, don't tell us.
Yeah.
You don't get to dictate how the market's going, how the industry is going. We have power over that. We can say, no, that is not how we're going. We we still want to get paid for the expertise that we bring to the table. So I had to shut that down really quickly. Yeah. I think this is what he was saying. I do see brands diversifying their tactics. This is one way of doing that and saving money. So they, like I said earlier, I was talking about that model where they're meshing like that low pay with that affiliate, the performance-based pay. Yep. They do that to save money. But that's not how the industry is going. I put some stats up there. I think, last year in the U.S., what is something like $289 billion was spent on paid advertising, and that's increasing 9% year over year. So no, you don't get to tell us.
Yeah.
How the market's going. But so that was a very interesting comment. Go ahead, Kelly. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Take it with a grain of salt. Even though affiliate marketing has its pros, like you also have to like make sure that like they have a track record of paying their creators out. Do they actually have paid media managers that can launch these ads? And if your ad is getting the viewer to click the link and go to the landing page, does the landing page work? Is the bounce rate crazy? Does the customer journey from the landing page suck to the point where no one can check out and they're just just like abandoning their cart. Everything you said, Terri, I completely agree with.
Very interesting, though. Yeah, go back, Courtney.
I read it and I was like, what? And I've been seeing a lot of it on TikTok. It's been coming on my feed. And I'm like, what is this Canvas UGC?
Wait, so what is this Canvas UGC? I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, me either.
So it's from what I'm seeing, it's basically where you are on a campaign with a brand. You create a whole new page. You create a whole new like TikTok or Instagram, whatever type of page. And you have to like warm up the page, and then you have to post a video or two. And it's pretty much based on however many views you get. They pay you, a few $100s here. And I'm seeing more like agencies come out and like this is like their thing. And I'm like, well, how are you really making money if it's performance based and you're starting out? And they give you like all the scripts and everything. You just have to recreate the concept. But I'm like, what is this? And I've just been seeing more people talk about it. They're like, this is the way that the industry is going. And I'm like, that doesn't really seem fair, having to put so much effort and then they'd only like $100 or $200 for like the base pay, and it's for 30 days. So I don't know. I just wanted like your insights on it because I've been seeing it pop up more, at least on my For You page. So and it's a lot of I'm mainly seeing it from like Gen Z, little bit of millennial, but mainly like Gen Z. I'm seeing like more creators talking about
Some bros.
Red flag.
Yeah, they're we call them income bros, and they
Yes.
yeah.
Definitely a subset of guys in the industry that are basically like man children that treat creatives like hired help. And it's unfortunate that they are the loudest ones in the room because they're also like, they're not what makes up this industry, like the majority, but obviously sometimes the loudest people in the room sometimes feel like the majority. Yeah, that's definitely not the way the industry is moving. Like, could it be like, a way to diversify? Yes, like for both the brand and the creator, but like it does sound like a lot of work. And it's one of those things where like when it comes to prioritizing opportunities, maybe you're at a point where you're just trying to get off the ground. Maybe this could be a really good opportunity to have you flexing this muscle in the sense of like having indirect accountability. You're working with this brand because sometimes being a self-starter can be hard. Like I have ADHD and like literally to do something without someone telling me to takes a lot of mental like just effort. And so like if you're starting out and you're like, hey, like this is going to be really good practice for me. And when it gets to the point where it's no longer adding value to me, then like I can move past it. But yeah, definitely not the way the industry is moving like as like a whole. It's like, sure, it might be new, like, TikTok Shop helping create this nuance of paying out creators through commission. So now, creators are more open-minded to this opportunity outside of TikTok Shop. Very well could be a thing, but it's not like blanketed statements. I always say like red flag. Like I've just always tried to say like, yeah, there are always exceptions to the rule. And when someone says a very blanketed statement like that, that's just, again, like feels like very much like a red flag.
Yeah, too prevalent, unfortunately. Portfolios. You have one, it works for you, but you also vet and hire creators.
Yep.
This is a two-part question. What are some things that stand out for you that say, wow, like I really need to reach out? And what are some deal breakers?
Okay, so things that I look for, about me videos. So what you should do is at the top of your portfolio, either have, and I'm going to give two options, either have an about me video where you can introduce yourself. This is where you also want to share information about yourself, having to do with the actual field, so UGC, but then also parts of you that make you unique as a person. And the reason why I say this is because sometimes I'm looking to source school teachers. Sometimes I'm looking to source someone who is a dietitian. So like being able to talk about even referencing like your past field, job experience, also having where you live being like also like textually written in your portfolio, because sometimes I'm hiring for like geographic locations. I was working with Amazon Photos where I was sourcing creators from Japan, Canada, Italy, the UK, France, Spain, like literally from like physical specific areas, and like going through portfolios and trying to find locations was so challenging. This About Me video, being able to share again what makes you unique as a person, having your personality shine, having your video editing shine. Or another option you could do is the first video at the top of your page titled my most recent project I worked on that I'm most excited for you to check out. That way then it's guaranteed that the person's going to see it, because I'm actually in the middle of redoing my About Me video. And I was like, well, crap, like this is totally contradicting what I normally recommend. And I was like, oh, well, this is actually probably a good point to make, which is, it could be an About Me video is great. If you're going to not do the About Me video, you obviously want to have a written About Me section. So right now I have a written About Me section and a, like my most recent project I'm most excited for them to check out that I feel is reflective of my on-camera presence, my video editing skills, etc. Outside of the About Me video, obviously starting out, you're not going to have this, but eventually building case studies. So just having proof of concept that like you can offer a return, whether that's good engagement on a video, hitting a certain target ROAS, return on ad spend for your client, hitting specific KPIs, key performance indicators that are like higher than the benchmark of what your client wanted. So like, overachieving in the sense of like what they normally aim for. Outside of that, if you're starting out and maybe you have experience, on social media in the sense of like maybe TikTok Shop or even just posting organically, even just having proof of concept that you've had a video go viral and being able to show the hours watched, the engagement, etc., or the GMV that your TikTok Shop video has been able to produce, any little bit of proof of concept that you can tease to a potential client will help you stand out. Granted, when you first start out and you're just trying to build a portfolio, obviously this is not going to come easy and it's going to take time. At the very least, asking for 5-star reviews or like, positive reviews from your clients that you work with, using something like there's Trust UGC. You can obviously just get email replies, but Trust UGC is like $5-10 a month, I think. And it like automatically works with your Canva. It shows that it's, like the person actually wrote it, whatever. So it's like a trusted review. But even just being able to show that form of social proof, I think is really powerful just because it shows, hey, I've worked with people, like I was professional, the client was happy with the outcome, etc. And then outside of that, when it comes to what I'm looking for, I am going to spend as little amount of time looking at any given portfolio because I'm likely going through 20, 30, 40, 50 portfolios at once. And so this first video I'm going to see at the top of your page, whether it's an About Me or a project you're most excited to share, if it does not reflect best practices in the sense of just like basic things, right? A hook. Unique selling points. I always say the way you should market yourself and your services is the same way that you should market your clients. So in this About Me video, you want to communicate your unique selling points, what sets you apart from other creators. And you don't even have to say it like, and what sets me apart from other creators is, it could literally be like, my clients love working with me because like I used to be a teacher, or I used to do this, I used to do that, or like I have a background as a marketer, whatever it might be. If your video does not reflect those best practices, I'm not going to swipe further in your portfolio. You want to make sure that the first video that someone is going to see is reflective of those best practices. If you just sound so like milk toast, right? Like just so bland, I'm not going to keep looking through someone's portfolio because they just don't feel like the right fit. But if you show up on camera, you have an engaging presence, you are able to communicate your unique selling points, I will spend more time on your portfolio. Outside of that, I would say things that turn me away from a portfolio would be, one, if it says that you do like X amount of rights like per month or like usage rights, like if it says that basically like you don't offer perpetual, just because for me personally, again, just coming from like my experience in the industry, all my friends who've been in the space since before UGC went mainstream in 2022, we've always just been hiring for perpetual. And it's for no other reason than like the upkeep of having to track every single creator is really challenging. And I can count on my left hand how many creators I've hired with limited usage over the past 3 years. So for me personally, just to save back and forth time, I will normally, unless if for some reason I'm looking to do an exception where I'm like, I'm willing to hire this creator, 9 out of 10 times, I'm not going to reach out if it's very blatantly stated that you only offer limited usage. And that's for no other reason than I just want to save my time. I don't want to go back and forth. Outside of that, I can't really think of anything else that would deter me other than like, obviously, if your videos don't reflect best practices and like, obviously, if you don't have an About Me video or don't have a video at the top of your page, I'm obviously going to scroll down and watch the first video that I see. I would say 9 out of 10 times I'm playing the first video that I actually see, which is why I'm recommending you put one at the top that you want the person to see first. Maybe I'm looking for one that's more specific to the niche that we're looking to create. But yeah, if it doesn't reflect best practices, then I'm going to keep moving forward because I want to make sure that we're hedging our bets on good performance. And the way that we can do that is by making sure that specific boxes are checked in the, content creation process.
60 videos on a UGC portfolio.
Yuck.
Okay. I see that a lot.
Oh, it's so overwhelming. It's so...
Yeah.
You know what I just did actually is I just revamped my portfolio and I was like, wow, I feel like I'm featuring so many videos. And it's funny because normally I would only feature 8. And now I think I have like 12, which is like such a normal number. Anything more than 20, keep it simple. Analysis paralysis is such a real thing, even down to just consumer habits. And time again, I feel like studies show that sometimes offering the simplest option is the best option. And yeah, 60, oof, that's too many videos.
Pam had a question about how long should the introductory video be?
I don't think there needs to be a definite time length, maybe like at minimum 30 seconds to make sure that you're sharing like a decent amount of information, and at most like sub 90 seconds. Don't feel like you have to track it out to 90 seconds if it feels like it's like truly being dragged out. Like if you can literally get your personality, your value props, and everything else like communicated within 30 seconds, that's perfect.
Okay. And prices on portfolios, your fees, what do you think about that?
Okay, so I don't feature my prices, and it's because I'm okay with putting that wall in the customer, specifically like, prospective client journey, because for me, I'm not in a dire need for new clients. I'm not, in a rush to close my next deal. Again, most of my inbounds are from LinkedIn and from referrals. I do think if you are looking to have the route of least resistance in the sense of like having your rates front and center and are looking to secure new opportunities, that can be helpful because technically that is removing a wall in that prospective client journey. Outside of that, my biggest recommendation, if you are showing rates, is having starting rates communicated because there are always exceptions to the scope of work for a project. And I would hate for you to say like flat out, X amount of dollars. And then the client thinks that that's what they get when like really what they're asking for might be like double of what you would normally charge for X and Y reason. So I would say communicating starting rates if you're going to show your rates in your portfolio is very important.
Very good. Very good. So here's the question, and then I have something else to say before you answer. Question is, high paying brands, where are they? I know you're getting paid well. I get some 4-figure gigs. They're out there. So where are they and how can creators find them? But Kelly, I think a lot of what we've talked about helps you attract those brands.
Yes.
So the question really isn't like they're out there, but it's more about how you can attract them. Or not so much how you can find them, but how you can attract them. And I don't want to this sound, woo-woo and out there, but law of attraction and all that stuff. But I think some of it, that there is a little bit of truth to that, I think.
For sure. Definitely.
And they're out there. So yeah, you might have a brand that's, paying a creator $100, but then you show up in their inbox with value, with a portfolio that's just amazing. You show up as a performance marketer and a partner and just not a creator. And now they say, oh, okay, well, Kelly wants $400 or $500 for her work. And they see the value and they're willing to pay that. So when people ask me all the time, where are you finding these brands? Where are you finding these 4-figure deals? I'm attracting them.
Yes.
How I'm finding them.
Yes.
I wanted you to speak on that because actually that was the title of this Q&A. But everything I think we spoke about plays into that.
Literally what you said, like everything that we've talked about, everything that UGC Pro, like in our UGC University discusses, all of it, it's like you are laying this firm foundation, you are laying down the groundwork to start attracting those opportunities. Even energetically aside, when you think about, being able to build these skill sets, being able to have work that reflects best practices, when you are either applying to opportunities on platforms or doing cold outreach, ultimately, the brand likely has a number in mind that they typically pay creators. When I worked with Everyday Dose, it was around $400. When I was working with Modern Gents and doing the street interviews, so like I'd meet with them for like 30 minutes, I was paying them $250, which for like just showing up, creators showing up for street interviews for like 30 minutes, $250 felt like a pretty good deal. All that goes to say, there are always creators who I'm able to make exceptions for. And that ultimately comes down to the work that you're able to create, the case studies provided, the capabilities you have. And I think the more that we really hone in on strengthening what is client facing, so our portfolio, our personal presence online, where we are showcasing our personality and our capabilities and our expertise, these are all contributing factors to someone like me making the decision of, do I go into this negotiation with this creator in the sense of like, normally we pay $400, but you said normally you do $600, like that's fine. I'll talk to the client. I'll get it greenlit. Or oftentimes too, if it's a stricter budget, what I'll say is, if it's a creator that I'm like, again, their work reflects it, I'll oftentimes adjust the scope of work versus heightening the rate, which is nice because it's like less work for that amount of money. And I feel like oftentimes when I have a set budget from a client, that's what I'll do, because it's like, well, we do have internal editors that could edit this project, or, hey, I could write the script for you if you can film and edit it. But ultimately, the reason why I'm making these exceptions to this, not set rule, but like this like number in mind is because of what you showed me that you're capable of doing as a creator. And it really just comes down to just like how you're able to execute your work. What does your portfolio look like? And do I want to work with you so much so that I'm willing to adjust the scope of work or willing to, make that budget more than what it already is?
Thank you. And this was wonderful. Any other questions for Kelly? Thank you. A few things I wanted to let you know about. So we do have Kelly's course in the UGC Authority community. Actually, we have her quick start guide, which is free to take. I took that and then took the course. So it's something, if you just want a quick start, the videos are great. And then the course is just phenomenal. I continue to refer back to the course even today. It's just great. Get a discount on the course. It's 50%, so it's pretty good. And the other thing I want Kelly to talk about really quickly is when you're ready to start thinking about beyond UGC.
Yep.
There is a beyond UGC in terms of creative strategy. And I went ahead and took that leap, took her creative strategy course, which was great because it helped me be, I think, a better UGC creator. And I'm also now dabbling into creative strategy, which is another stream of income.
Yes.
She's got a wonderful creative strategy course. She's actually got two of them. You want to talk about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say the one that is going to be most fitting for just like generally for this community is going to be our intro to creative strategy. And the reason why is because even if you don't want to offer creative strategy as a service at this point in time, if you are able to take this course and apply what you learned to your UGC business and your UGC videos, you will be able to charge more competitive rates. And the reason why is because when you are equally analytical as you are creative, brands appreciate that because they see you as a partner to hedge their bets with on good performance because you have the mind of a strategist. So this is 4 hours intro level. So it starts from literal bare bones, from like, what is the definition of creative strategy, all the way through to if you were to be flexing this muscle as a creative strategist, similar to UGC University, what you should be charging, why you should be charging hourly, etc. And, if you finish this course and you are offering creative strategy and you want to take it to the next level, we also have a masterclass, which is really cool because we actually married creative strategy with paid media. Half of the course, it's like 10 hours long. It's pretty extensive, half of which 5 hours roughly is creative strategy led by myself. And then we have the paid media perspective, which is my longtime friend and colleague, Lamise Barnett. She has an MBA. She's a fractional CMO. She brings the mindset of a paid media manager to the table when it comes to creative strategy, which can be very enlightening to better understand the other side of the coin. And when I say paid media, it's once you, as a UGC creator, once you send over your video and it gets approved, it goes over to the paid media side where then it is then launched as an advertisement if it was, an ad that you did for the brand versus organic video.
Yeah, so I've taken both the courses. I think I still need to finish the 10-hour one. I think I've got like 2 more hours left. So yeah, if you have a chance to take UGC University, I highly recommend it. It's wonderful, and Shane is great too.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Hallie,
Thank you for having me. Seriously, I so appreciate it. You guys were an absolute pleasure. And yeah, any way that I can help the community moving forward, don't be shy. I would love to participate. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the UGC Pro podcast. I hope today's episode gave you inspiration and practical steps to apply to your business. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to hit follow, leave a review, and share it with another creator or marketer. And make sure to catch our next episode. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say you will not want to miss out. Until then, remember that success is a strategy and you are your most valuable client. So treat yourself like it. And lastly, if you aren't already connected with us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, look up UGC Pro and be sure to follow along. And as always, I wish you the best of luck on your UGC and creative strategy journey.